And I would actually say that it worked out for both of us far better than anybody could have expected.
Breaking news just moments ago in Singapore. President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un signed a document they're describing as important and historic. It ends an hours-long summit. The CBS 2 News team is here, and let's get right to political reporter Dave Bryan. He has the very latest on this summit. Dave.
Pat, plenty going on today, no question about it. Tonight, President Trump and North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un are wrapping up their historic summit in Singapore. It was a day of a lot of positive comments and several meetings, including a one-on-one discussion between the leaders with only their translators there. And a day that raised the hopes of the world that just maybe a major agreement would eventually result. Let's take a listen to what President Trump just said.
We have developed a very special bond. So people are going to be very impressed. People are going to be very happy. And we're going to take care of a very big and very dangerous problem for the world. And I want to thank Chairman Kim. Spent a lot of time together today, very intensive time. And I would actually say that it worked out for both of us far better than anybody could have expected. We had a really fantastic meeting. A lot of progress, really very positive. I think better than anybody could have expected.
President Trump's comments about his 3 meetings Monday with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un on an historic summit focused on denuclearizing North Korea. Just a few hours before, here's how it all began. With still cameras clicking furiously, it was a moment of high drama on the world stage in Singapore as President Trump and North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un became the first leaders of their countries to ever meet one another in person.
It has not been easy to come to this point. For us, the past has been holding us back, and old practices and prejudices have been covering our eyes and ears. But we have been able to overcome everything to arrive here today.
And there is plenty of work to be done. The U.S. is demanding the dismantling of North Korea's nuclear weapons program, but the president is not expected to address North Korea's human rights record, which is filled with abuses. California Congressman John Garamendi, a Democrat, told CNN's Chris Cuomo the president is doing the right thing.
This is certainly a major moment. This is extremely important. Among the 3 paths that could have been followed, one is war. That's a horrible situation. The other is simply accept the fact that they can threaten America with the nuclear weapon. That's not a good one. Negotiations, that's the path that we're on. That's the right path.
Now, there has been no indication so far about what happens next after today's summit. What's the next step? Also, no indication of what's in that document that they signed that President Trump referred to as historic. Mr. Trump is scheduled to hold a press availability in a couple of hours, so we may find out more about where this is all headed. The president is now scheduled to fly out of Singapore at 4 a.m. Tuesday morning Pacific time. Pat, back to you.
All right, and we have more on that, Dave. Dennis Rodman was in Singapore tonight. He says he was there to offer support to both leaders. The former NBA star got emotional tonight with CNN.
I knew things were going to change. I knew it. I was the only one. I never had no one to hear me. I didn't know one had to see me. But I took those bullets. I took all that. I took everything. Everyone came at me, and I'm still standing. And today is a great day for everybody. Singapore, Tokyo, China, everything. It's a great day.
Rodman also knew President Trump from his stint on Celebrity Apprentice. Now, there was a summit watch party tonight in Koreatown. About 100 people got together at Piper's restaurant. One woman drove all the way from Hacienda Heights.
I don't know. I burst in tears. I don't know why. I cannot explain. I couldn't stay home by myself. It's so exciting moment, and I want to be around with all Korean people.
Whether they're conservative, progressive, liberal, everybody wants to see a peaceful, unified country.
One man was toasting the meeting because he's been part of a movement for a peaceful reunification for almost 40 years after his brother was killed in the Korean War. And we will bring you any major developments on the summit throughout this newscast, and CBS 2 News is back at 4:30 a.m. with the very latest reports and reaction. Now, President Trump's chief economic advisor is in the hospital after having a heart attack. The president made the announcement as he arrived for the Singapore summit. Larry Kudlow had just gotten back from the G7 summit. Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders says it was only a mild heart attack.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
A motorcyclist crashed After a high-speed pursuit in Baldwin Park tonight, earlier in the chase, he suddenly dropped off a passenger, but after he crashed, Baldwin Park police were able to take him into custody. Now more breaking news. A hostage standoff takes a deadly turn. Officers shot a man holding a child at knife point. And CBS 2's Crystal Cruz is live in Whittier with more on this. Crystal.
Hi, Pat. We just learned this actually all started at the Whittier police station when a detective says an estranged husband and wife were performing a custody exchange with their 2 kids. And that's when the husband kidnapped all of them and drove here to the random street. And back down there, you can see there is an investigation going on. Here's some video that shows the scene that followed. The man drove her and the kids to this area. 911 was called. And when cops showed up, they believed the man had one of his children at knife point. And that's when officers felt the child was in danger and shot him. This according to investigators.
Whittier officers believe that the 4-year-old child was in danger and an officer-involved shooting occurred. There were 3 officers who fired their firearms. We believe each officer fired once. That individual, the suspect, was struck at least once in the upper torso. He was transported to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead. There were no...
And the kids and mom doing okay. That officer right there says this is definitely a unique situation. Again, this all started at the Whittier police station when the estranged mother and husband were doing a custody exchange. I'm Crystal Cruz, live in Whittier tonight. Back to you in the studio.
All right. Thank you, Crystal. Now let's take a live look at Pacoima, where a deadly accident has shut down a section of the southbound 5 freeway. 3 cars were involved in that crash. 2 people were killed and 2 others were hurt. All lanes are closed near Osborne. It's unclear when the road will reopen. A big break in the hunt for the driver in a deadly hit-and-run crash in Sun Valley. Tonight, the suspect is under arrest thanks to his own family. CBS 2's Jeff DeWin is live in Sun Valley, where he spoke with the mother of the man who died in that horrific accident. Jeff?
But first, Pat, the suspect was arrested after his own family turned him in. They learned that he was wanted after watching news coverage. And earlier tonight, the family of one of the victims gathered at this makeshift memorial after the break in the case.
Why he ran away and he don't help him.
Carolina Torres choked back tears after suffering the loss of her son. 23-year-old Jesus Torres, who was in this Nissan Murano when it crashed in front of a security camera in Sun Valley. Torres says her son was a selfless young man who would often give up his own food to feed the homeless.
It was Thanksgiving. He didn't eat. He eat when before give the food to the homeless.
Police say the person behind the wheel last Thursday morning was 31-year-old Oscar Lopez, seen in these pictures. But detectives say the images that are most hurtful are the ones on security camera following the wreck.
You can see Mr. Lopez exit the vehicle and walk with what appears to be relatively no injuries, if any.
Paramedics found Torres dead when they got to the scene. A woman in her early 20s is still in critical condition after she and Torres were thrown from the wreck.
If they see him, just call 911.
Today, police asked the public for help in finding Lopez, and within a couple of hours, Lopez's own family turned him in. Police say relatives held him down for police at a home in North Hollywood. But for Carolina Torres, the news of the arrest comes with mixed emotions.
A little bit more relief, but my pain is still here.
Police say that Lopez suffered scrapes and contusions during a struggle with his relatives who held him down for officers. They plan to book him after he's been checked out by doctors. Pat?
All right. Thank you, Jeff. An actor says he was wrongly detained after a pursuit. LAPD officers chased 3 alleged knock-knock burglars on Wednesday, and the suspects ditched their car at the Glendale Galleria and took off running. There was video of the LAPD taking a man into custody, but that man, Darius Love, says he was innocent and was just out shopping. The actor says he was released 5 hours later, and we're expecting to learn much more tomorrow in a news conference. Well, tonight, Metrolink is investigating a racial incident on board one of its trains in Riverside. A woman says she went to the conductor when she heard a security guard making an offensive remark about some of the passengers. Then she got booted off the train. CBS 2's Tina Patel has viral video of that encounter.
I can't even speak. I'm sorry.
Felicia Carrasco was visibly upset when she posted this video on social media Saturday after she says she was thrown off a Metrolink train in Riverside. She says her family had been planning on taking the train down for a day at the beach when a security guard made an off-color remark.
The guy who was loading us on made a joke. He said, "This train must be going to Tijuana."
Carrasco says even though the majority of the people on the train, including her father, were Hispanic, she thought the comment was inappropriate, so she confronted the Metrolink conductor.
Yeah, he was talking to me.
Carrasco continued to protest using some foul language, which may have led to her removal from the train.
And I said, it doesn't matter if he's talking to me. Everyone heard you. And he was like, well, it's freedom of speech. And I said, no, that's not freedom of speech, that's hate speech.
The comments are being taken seriously by both Metrolink and Allied Universal, the company the security guard works for. They released a statement saying, quote, "We do not condone discrimination of any sort and have taken immediate action to suspend the employee involved pending a full investigation." Metrolink has also taken the conductor involved out of service while they investigate, saying, quote, "Please know the highest levels of the agency are involved and will ensure Metrolink riders are treated with dignity and respect." On social media, Carrasco writes she doesn't want to see these two men lose their livelihood, but she does want acknowledgement that what happened was wrong and hurtful, and she hopes in the future the community can ride without having to hear any racist comments. In Riverside, Tina Patel, CBS 2 News.
Well, this guy has the right idea to beat the heat. The San Gabriel Valley pool that was just too tempting. That's ahead. Plus this. A fiery new toy is lighting up the Southland. The safety concerns now that people have their flamethrowers. I know you wanted one.
I had Lincoln logs. But with that thing, I could burn the Lincoln logs down.
Yeah.
All right, coming up, the weather's on the way.
And here's a look at the guests tonight on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.